Marnie McBean is one of Canada's greatest Olympians with 4 medals, 3 of which are gold. And she's also, as you well know, Team Canada's chef de mission for these Tokyo Olympics. So she's the one who's been breaking the news to her athletes, and she's with me from Toronto. Marnie, good morning.
Good morning, Heather.
I don't know whether my response to you should be bravo or I'm so sorry, or maybe both.
Well, that was my response to the athletes. Like, it's going to be crushing and relieving. And I've gotten the same response from the athletes. They're heartbroken, but at the same time, they're relieved. Our position when we saw the IOC's their notice yesterday was, okay, first of all, great. They're not talking about cancellation. Fantastic. They're going to be looking at postponement options. But we really weren't comfortable with the fact that they wanted to wait 4 weeks, because in that 4 weeks, we would have been asking our athletes to try and figure out how to train. And that's what we started looking at, was in conversation with our athletes commission, who were amazing, in conversation with our chief medical officer and all the partners who are involved in making a team like this work, we kind of stopped looking at July 24th and we started looking at our today. And what does an athlete need to do? What does a team need to do to be ready for a games? And because the IOC wouldn't take, they didn't take July 24th off the table, we felt we needed to.
So as I listened to you, it sounds like it was quite a day yesterday of discussions and back and forth. And even though, you know, as you looked at the schedule and it didn't seem practical for the team, how difficult was it to kind of come to that final moment and say, we're not going this summer?
Well, even as you said, there was a lot of back and forth. It was a lot of discussion, but it wasn't back and forth. It was really consistent with the Canadian position, really strong leadership from our athletes commission. The Canadian position was that our athletes want to be seen as global leaders in fighting this, global leaders in lowering the curve. They didn't want to figure out how to be being seen as the exception of the curve. And I heard earlier in the program, you were saying how it was so beautiful in Vancouver. Our athletes were hurt by that. You know, Rosie McLennan said, you know, it's almost like we need to hashtag, we're not playing, why are you? So it was as much as it was a lot of conversations to make sure we had as many people on board as possible. We still have a conversation coming up with the entire team. You know, there are some athletes, unfortunately, who found out through the media. We tried very hard to get messages out to all of our team members, so we would be telling them first. But the conversation we had was not back and forth. It was very harmonious in you know, the health and safety of Canadians and lowering this curve for this pandemic. That is the priority, and sport at this moment is taking a back seat to that.
As you've spoken with the athletes, and as you said, you'd hope to get to all of them personally, and that wasn't possible this time around. But, I mean, you, every bit as much as all of them, know how much they must have been looking forward to Tokyo, you know, their training, their dreams being realized. And I'm wondering, even in some cases, some of the athletes, if it's postponed, maybe their career will be over by the time these games actually take place. So can you give us a read on, you said they want to be global leaders, but in terms of personal planning and consequences, it must be devastating for some.
Well, the periodization of an Olympic athlete to get to, like, they've been thinking dates between, like, in July 24th, July 27th, August 3rd. Athletes have known what is the day in a 4-year cycle that they need to be the best. And they have been planning and plotting everything in their life for 4 years to be best on that day. So now it's been thrown off by months or a year. We haven't set a timeline to the IOC on when the postponement is, just not in the summer, just not in the near future. We need to make sure that everybody is safe and safe in their training, and that it's safe for travel and competition later. But, you know, for some context, in the decision making, we have Tricia Smith, the president. She was a member of the 1980 Olympic team. She was an athlete who was stayed home because of
because of
a
the boycott.
This is not a boycott. You know, I was an athlete. I trained for the Sydney Olympics, my third games. I had a back injury, and my games went away from me, and so which is completely different. But at the same time, I had 4 years of work go away, and Trisha's had 4 years of work taken from her. We absolutely understand and respect the overwhelming, like, just flattening of everything that's been building up for a moment. For some athletes, their sport, you know, I haven't spoken with Andre, but his sport's less than 10 seconds. I often joke, you don't have to breathe in that sport. I know they do.
Andre DeGrasse in the 100 meters, yes.
All of that work for a sport where it's over in a moment. And then there's other athletes where it's going to be like Evan Dunphy, where it takes hours. But all of the work that we've been doing to build up to these moments, I get it. Like it is gone. But at the same time, we have to look to all Canadians, business owners who've had to shutter their businesses and lay off staff, people who don't know where how their finances are going to survive through this. Mm-hmm. So we have to take and look at our sport periodization and planning, put it into the context of this is lives that are being affected here. And again, we are sad and heartbroken, but it's not a hardship.
And when you say the athletes were adamant in wanting to have Canada as global leaders on this, already Australia, I mean, in just a matter of minutes, Australia said the very same thing. We've heard this morning, Marnie, you probably have, from Sebastian Coe, from the World Athletics Federation, saying should be a no-go. You've heard from global athletes, again, the voice of the athletes agency around the world, saying the same thing as you are. What kind of domino effect do you hope Canada may have set off in perhaps forcing the IOC to speed up its decision here?
Well, we weren't looking to force anybody to do anything. We were looking to make the right decision for Canadians and Canadian athletes, as well as our support staff, our mission team, and all the friends and family who are worried about us. But strong leadership is making good decisions first. And if we've shown and maybe in a sense given permission, like I can't speak for Italy, but I know there's probably Italian athletes who are struggling to figure out what to do, and maybe they can say, well, no, Canada's done it, so can we. So in strong leadership, we've taken a position, and if other countries who maybe didn't feel they had that position, now they can say we're with them. And that's sometimes an easier position to take than the first position.
So great to speak to you, Marnie. Can I just quickly, before I let you go, do you believe that there will be a Tokyo Olympics?
I do. I think there is a lot of will from the IOC, as much as they've been frustratingly slow in trying to make decisions. It's complicated. I get it. I wish they'll get to their logistics faster. Instead of having a final answer, let's get to the safe answer, which is what we've needed right now. But I do believe we're going to have an Olympics. We're still going to have a Tokyo Olympics. There'll be the Tokyo late 2020 or Tokyo 2021. I don't know.
And you'll still be the leader, and that'll be fantastic. Thank you for the time today. Really appreciate the whole insight into the decision-making and the reaction of the bold move by Team Canada. Marnie McBean, chef de mission for Tokyo 2020, ? And joining me, a guest from Toronto this morning. Appreciate that.